Carpe Sows, when hunting up in St. Joe, Texas, where 2 nights prior I'd seen hogs on the adjoining property, but they wouldn't come across the fence. Well, they've come across the fence and have done considerable damage. This is damage you see to the middle pasture area. This is the gateway area between pastures where you can see all the footprints. And then they did a lot of damage to the north pasture as well. Take a look at how deep the rooting is here. So I showed up to hunt expecting hogs to show up sooner or later, and sure enough they did, but they came from one of the pastures that I don't hunt because it's where the horses are kept. Now at this point the moon is so bright that I can actually read the name Armacite on the side of my spotting scope, so I want to stay under cover as much as possible, but it's an open pasture. So I've moved down behind a small brush pile, and I realize that this isn't a viable position and I have to move around it in order to get a clear shot at the hogs. Now these guys are 180, 200 yards away when I line up for the shot. Here we go. And of course they run. And I'm trying my best to get a lead on the hogs and get shots land, and every single shot is missing. I finally give up on this group and start looking for stragglers, learning information from the shots that have missed where they've kicked up dust. And I spied this other group and figured out my lead for this group, take a shot, and the hog goes down. The first hog was a nice, clean, 225-pound pregnant sow. Alright, the bullet entered the left side, passed underneath the scapula, went through a couple ribs, hitting the vertebral column, penetrating the, going in right here, penetrating the vertebral column, coming out the other side where the knife is, and then the bullet is probably buried somewhere inside of the scapular muscle meat, but I could not recover it. As a bonus, she had 5 fetuses on board. Based on the necropsy, it would appear that she was stopped because the bullet hit her spine and then she bled out in place. The second hog was a large 240-pound sow that produced an impressive ring spray of blood. Alright, the bullet entered right about here at the rear of the scapula, traveling forward and diagonally across the body, breaking a rib, going through, hitting the spine, and coming out on the other side of the ribs right here where the bullet was recovered. And this is the bullet, what's left of it. Like the first hog, this hog was stopped because the bullet hit the spine, actually boring a hole through it, but also damaging the lungs and doing a lot of damage to the circulatory system where it bled out. Carpe Sows, my friends.